friends, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a vlog that is going to be kind of an unknown. I don't know if it's going to be like a weekly vlog, whether it's going to be like a themed vlog. I don't know. All I know is that I will be reading the entirety of the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. I have read this series previously, however, it's been a long time and I honestly don't remember anything about them. Since I've read them, I have said that it's like my favorite dark romance series of all time, and I want to just like verify that. I want to make sure that's true. I read the first one back in, I think, 2020 when I first started my channel, and I read the newest one, Nightfall, when it came out, I think last year. But like I said, I don't remember much about the first three. Kill Switch is 100% my favorite, or it was my favorite the first time I read this. We also have an exciting week coming up. We're gonna do a library visit. I'm gonna try to go thrifting because I need some pants, and I also want to see what they have for books. And I'm going to see a play with my mom this weekend, which will be fun. In December, we went and saw Dirty Dancing. It was like a movie, like it was on the screen, but there was like musical accompaniment, and it reminded me how much I love theater. I did theater in high school. I loved it. It was like my whole life, and I kind of miss it. So if you don't know, this series is about 4 guys. And in this first one, we follow Erica and Michael. And in the beginning of this, we find out that Erica is the reason that 3 of the 4 guys are in prison. In this town, there's something called Devil's Night, which is sort of like a Halloween night where the people can just go wild and get away with whatever they want to, but she rats them out for committing a crime, and they want to get revenge on her. And it's pretty dark, and it's a lot of cat and mouse games, and I really loved it the first time I read it. This was, I think, the 3rd book I read by Penelope Douglas, so let's get into the vlog. Okay friends, happy Wednesday. I have not done any reading, but as you could tell, we did our little library visit. I didn't go thrift store shopping. I probably will go at a separate point. I just am not really feeling it this week. Okay, so first up is something that I had started previously, but if you don't know, the Brooklyn Library used to do out-of-state cards, and then last year I think they closed it down to out-of-state residents, and so my Brooklyn Library card just expired in this month, like a couple of weeks ago, and so I was in the middle of reading or listening to Amari and the Great Game, which is the 2nd book in the Amari, the Paranormal Investigator series, and I had to get it from my library. Thankfully they had it. Very excited. I think I gave the first one 5 stars, and I was really enjoying what I had read so far. This is a great, fantastic, amazing, like fantasy, magical, camp, investigating paranormal creatures story. Love it, love it, love it. Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This is I think it is a companion book. I don't know if it's in the same series or what, but it is to House in the Cerulean Sea. I liked House in the Cerulean Sea. I think I gave it like a strong 3-star. I've heard this deals a lot with grief, and I want to give it a shot. I believe it's about death, and the main character is being collected by a Grim Reaper or something like that. Next up, we have Woman in the Library, and this is a woman who works in a library. There is a woman scream. They have to wait for the all clear for 4 strangers who happen to sit at the same table, pass the time in conversation, and friendships are struck. Each has his or her own reason for being in the reading room that morning. It just happens that one is murder. So this is called a complicated, twisty literary adventure. So I don't necessarily know if it's going to be a murder mystery or a thriller or what, but we'll see how that one goes. We have The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I'm sure you are familiar with this story. Dystopian. Not a huge fan, but I wanted to give this a shot. Next up, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The time that I am filming this, these two things are still on Kindle Unlimited. So if you were interested in reading these and you don't have access to them, you don't want to buy them, whatever, they're on Kindle Unlimited. And so I had them on KU, and I needed some space in my KU library, and I was like, you know, let's just see if my library has them, because they don't always have the best selection, and they did. I'm sure you're familiar with this story. I'm excited to get to it. I'm going to talk really fast because my camera's going to die, so I'm going to try to get through this. The next up is I have some questions for you. I don't, again, know if this is a thriller or a like literary novel, but it's about a woman who is invited back to her school to teach a course, and she kind of like becomes obsessed with this case that happened when she was a child. It's pretty thick. Next up, we have Honey and Spice. And this is a romance, and I don't know anything else besides that. I don't know what the tone of it is. I think this is like fake dating, and I want something just kind of light and is gonna tickle that fancy, and I've heard good things about this one. So, and then last up we have Things We Do in the Dark, which is another thriller. I don't know much about it. She's arrested in her own bathroom, covered in blood, and her celebrity husband is dead in the bathtub. So 25 years earlier, we flash back, and we'll see how that one goes. So that was the library haul. Like I said, my camera's gonna die any second, so we will talk again later. I haven't started the book because I was gonna annotate it. I ran out of annotation tabs, and then I decided that I'm not gonna annotate it, so I'm just gonna start it. So we'll talk. Good morning, friends. Happy Thursday. Today I am working from home, so I'm going to be taking a very chill day. Yesterday I felt myself spiraling, and I want to give myself kind of some time to relax today. So I'm going to do some very light cleaning after I eat my breakfast, and then I'm probably going to do some yoga because my body is very tense. And then I might journal a little bit, and then from there I probably am going to try to play some video games or something like that. I don't really have much going on for the day. My mom's coming over later, but other than that, like, I don't really have much. So I'm just gonna kind of relax. And then I also last night got halfway through Corrupt, and I'm definitely enjoying this much more than I did the first time. I think because I have read so many of Penn's books before, I'm just very used to their writing, and I can appreciate the things that I didn't see the first time I read this. Their ability to write chemistry between characters is absolutely off the chart. We are now 3 years after the events of the night that sent his friends to prison, and they're back to get revenge by ruining her. And they have moved her into their apartment complex. They have sort of isolated her from her family and friends, and they are just kind of trying to scare her. And then we are also getting flashbacks to the night in question. It was Devil's Night 3 years ago, and she hid in the back of their car, and they discovered her there, and they added her to their ranks of like pulling pranks and stuff like that. Like, the tension is just through the charts. The tension between all the guys, the tension between her and the guys, the tension between her and Michael, the sexual tension between her and Michael is wild. And just like the apprehension of like not knowing what the guys have planned, what they're gonna do. Like, the first time I read this, I remember being so just on the edge of my seat the entire time, because like I really had no idea what was going to happen. And even now, partly because I really don't have any memory of the book, but the tension is just written so well that it's like you're just on the edge of your seat and apprehensive the whole time. So I'm definitely enjoying it more than the first time I read it, and I'm very excited to continue, because I really don't remember much about the second book. The first and second book are like the most blurry to me, because I read them so quickly and I read them so long ago. So I'm very excited to get to it. I don't quite know if it's at a 5-star yet. First time I read it, I went back to Goodreads and I gave it a 4-star. So that is what's going on today. I'm probably gonna make more progress through this. I would like to finish it today. I'm gonna eat my breakfast, do some yoga, do some journaling, and then I'll reevaluate. Probably play some video games. So that was a pretty good little yoga routine. I'll leave it down in the description, but it's Mindful Moves 15-minute yoga flow for anxiety by Healthline. It was only a couple of moves, and most of it was centered around like props and stuff, which I don't really have. So I was just doing the full stretch. Like, she kept saying like, we're not trying to stretch here, but I don't have blocks and stuff to like support myself, so I was like doing the stretch fully. But it was fine, like it was relaxing. I find yoga to be relaxing. Anyways, usually I do yoga with Adrian, which is quite a bit more intense than that, obviously, because like that one's not trying to be intense. That one's like just trying to get you to like relax. But yeah, I feel a lot better. I don't feel as tense. So now I think I'm going to go journal and play some video games. Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. I thought before I went into work I could sort of give you an update on my reading and stuff like that. So yesterday I did end up finishing Corrupt, and as anticipated I stuck with my 4-star rating. I really enjoyed it. I think Penelope just has a fantastic way of writing chemistry, and I find the Devil's Night plot lines very interesting. I decided that I'm not going to read the whole series in this vlog. I will come back to it at a later point, but for the moment I'm just not really feeling it. I get like this where I decide that I want to reread something, and then I get into my reread and like I'm kind of just over it and want some new stories. So I said in my last clip, or in that library haul clip, that I got Amari and the Night Brothers Amari and the Great Game rather, from my library, and I'm really feeling this. I really want something fantastical, something fun, so I'm gonna pick this up. And I don't quite remember where I was in the audiobook, so I'm probably just gonna try to find an area that I'm familiar with and then start reading from there. If you don't know, this is about Amari, who is, I think, 11 or 12 in the first book, and she is searching for her missing brother, and she gets a letter from him one day in the mail saying, take the suitcase in the briefcase in my closet. So she finds the suitcase, she opens it up, and she gets invited to the Bureau for Magical Investigations, I think is what it's called. And it's like this summer camp that kids can go to if they have magical abilities, and you get there and you get your powers activated. And when her powers were activated, it was discovered that she's something called a magician, and they're sort of like not very well known because there was a group of magicians that banded together and caused a lot of damage, and the Bureau had to like handle them. Amari is now at the summer camp, and she became a junior agent, which means she's officially part of the Bureau now. And she, in the beginning, at the end of the last book, she, you know, had to fight a villain and all that kind of stuff. She was invited to this like secret organization of magicians. So in this one, I don't quite know what the plot is. Like, I'm a decent chunk of the way through the audiobook. I think I got 30% of the way through. So I'm vaguely familiar with the plot, but I'm not too sure where it's going to go. And I really liked the first one. I think I gave it 5 stars. It's a really good story, and I can see it being a long-spanning series that is very influential in a lot of kids' lives. It has a lot of like magical creatures and fun times. It's just a good, well-written story that has a lot of depth and a lot of heart. So if you are into middle grade and for some reason you haven't picked up the first book in this series yet, I highly recommend. I'm not a huge middle grade reader, but I knew that I wanted to pick it up, and I was not disappointed at all. So I'm going to go into work. I'm going to catch up to where I was on my audiobook, and I'm going to start that. I don't have any big plans for the evening. My partner is going to be gone for the evening. He is going to go play Magic at one of our local comic book stores. So I will have the house to myself. Don't quite know what I'm gonna do in that time period. Probably just read if I had to guess and play video games. But so the plan for right now is to go to work and do some things at work as you do, and then get some reading done, and then we'll go from there. So okay friends, it is Sunday, so it is time to wrap up the vlog. Yesterday I went to that play with my mom in a haunted theater. I'm gonna pop up the picture that I took at the theater. This is the only picture that I captured, 100% haunted, and if you are a skeptic, don't go in the comments and tell me, oh, actually you probably just moved your camera while you were taking it. don't ruin this for me, it's 100% haunted, but the play was great. It was about Ida B. Wells during her anti-lynching campaign, and it was great. The theater that we went to is all volunteer based, and it was a lovely experience. And then I also ended up finishing Amari and the Great Game. This is the second book in this series, like I mentioned in a previous clip. I really liked this. I gave this 4 stars. I think it's a fantastic continuation. It's more exploring the world than the actual like plot or the continuation of the plot. There is a light mystery in here, but really Amari is kind of just doing these like little games and trials, and then she's also going to class and like learning more about this world. So I thought it was a good continuation. I'm very excited for the 3rd one. I don't know how long this series is going to be, but hopefully it is long spanning. And then of course I did my reread of Corrupt, which I enjoyed. So it wasn't my most reading heavy week, but I am perfectly okay with that, and I'm very happy that you guys could come along with me while I sort of figure out what my life is going to look like moving forward, and I hope you guys will stick around. So let me know down in the comments your thoughts on anything that I read or did. Do you think that theater that I went to was haunted or not? And what library books I should prioritize. I started The Handmaid's Tale, and I also started that one library book, The Mystery That's Set in the Library, but I'm not too far into either of them. So if you are looking for more content from me, you can check out my Instagram or my podcast Instagram. You can also check out my podcast on your favorite streaming platforms. It is a horror podcast. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget to subscribe if you're looking for more content like this from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.